she calls herself a happiness hussy. What a fun description of yourself. So anyway, today on the episode, we're going to be talking to Christy Holtz. She is an amazing entrepreneur who has a book that you're going to want to read. She talks about being unstuck. And if you have been listening to my podcast, that's right. For you newbies, I have a podcast. It is called the CEO Mindset Podcast. And we're over there talking about how to constantly evolve and be open to failing forward. If that is an issue you have, then definitely go and listen to that podcast. But I have brought some of my guests over here to my channel. So definitely subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss an episode, because over the course of the next month or so, I have got some amazing women coming on the channel to talk about some interesting things that are going to help you not only get unstuck, but also help you to get the right mindset and help you to be the CEO of you. That's right, sis. And in addition, they are going to help me talk about things that will be solved by using the blueprint that you're going to get when you join us for my Search for Success challenge coming up very soon. The links to that is down in the description box, so go ahead and register. It's absolutely free. But if you find yourself unstuck, if you find yourself in the wrong mindset and struggling to kind of get yourself where it is you're trying to go, this challenge is going to be for you. It is amazing. What, in your opinion, from your experience with clients, are the top 3 to 5 things that get people stuck?
Oh, that get people stuck in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say the biggest one we already touched on is this childhood trauma. And it's not, I don't know, some people out there be thinking like, I didn't have any trauma. Interesting. I actually feel like I had a pretty good childhood too. Yet there are experiences that I interpreted, no doubt about it, because if I think about it now, I think, oh, probably was traumatizing. And there are also experiences of things that did not happen that can create a trauma response in you. And if you haven't moved through that, if you have been carrying that with you, then it's still alive and kicking, whether you're consciously aware of it or not. So the biggest thing is probably the traumas. Now, like I say, this could be a parent not being there one time when you needed them. It could be a misinterpretation entirely of your caregiver's intention.
Sure.
Right? Because we can really misinterpret things at times as humans, right?
As kids, especially.
Especially when we are not fully developed and fully capable. And then to boot on top of that, we've got very oftentimes parents who don't know themselves, who are still working through their unprocessed traumas and challenges. So there's this underlying trauma piece that we need to be able to identify and move through. Now, it's not about talking it to death or reliving the experience. We don't want to do that. We don't need to re-traumatize, but we do need to give our inner child a little bit of comfort and say, you know what, that's a pretty okay response, reaction, way of dealing with that circumstance when you didn't have a better resource. And understanding that the people around us are also doing the best they can, that gives us all a little bit more permission to be human, right? After all, we're human. And so that's one part of it. The second part, I think, is just that it's so easy to get sucked into these patterns. It's the society, it's the pressure, it's the conditioning, it's our education system. And this is both a matter of things that we are being directly taught and also the things that we're not being taught. Again, just like the trauma, things that happen and things that didn't happen, there are things that we learn and things that we didn't learn that contribute to maybe even just a lack of awareness or understanding about how things work, which is why I am kind of a nerd about the neuroscience stuff and figuring out, well, how does this even work anyways, right? Because that knowledge, that understanding lends itself to figuring out a way to work with it, right? Instead of constantly trying to fight against something, yet not really understanding what the fight is. And so that's also a part of it, this lack of understanding. Third idea, let me think here. The world is just so full of fear and that we have really lost our intended state.
Fear is a big one.
Right? And ultimately, it's the pull of fear can be so strong that it can override the pull of love if we're not careful. And it does seem like, neuroscience would prove too, the more repetition you give to a thought or a pattern in your mind, the more deeply ingrained
the truer it becomes to your mind.
Right? And then before long, that thing, which could be a good thing or a bad thing, either way, the process is the same, but it seems so much like your normal. It seems like, you say, if you grew up in a household full of chaos, that's what feels normal to you.
Yes.
And so calmness, you're going to be like, there's something wrong here. There is something off about this. I can't put my finger on it.
Exactly.
This piece is too much, right? And so it creates this version of your reality where it's in a bubble, and anything that's outside of the bubble seems very strange or very inaccessible. And so we stay in our comfort zone because, well, frankly, that's easy. And us humans do kind of like the easy way. Look, we've gone from having to even go to the grocery store to ordering, having delivered on our step, right? Because it's easy.
It's easy.
We've gone from washing the clothes by hand to, I don't even know. I can't imagine. And I am really excited for the day when there's a system that will wash, dry, and hang your stuff for you. Because
like you take it off and you put it in the system and it just does the whole process for you. And next time you want it, it's back up on your rack. That'd be awesome. I love that.
It's the folding. The folding that gets me every time, the putting away part.
It's the putting away. I don't even mind folding. It's just the putting away. Yeah. I love that. That's great. Those are great things. And I think you're absolutely right with all three, especially with the fear. That is a huge one that gets people stuck. And then, like you said, your first and your third one, like the childhood influence from like past, even if you don't recognize it, I think when we look at it through a lens of what we think are our failures and what we think are our limitations, I think if we look back, use that as the lens, we'll see some of those places where that came from. Or if we are agitated by certain things trigger us, if we look back, we can see how that's holding us hostage and how that's keeping us stuck. A lot of people don't think they're stuck though, Christy. That's the thing. Until they do this work and they realize that they've missed out on opportunities because of a trigger that happened sometime earlier that they didn't even realize was the thing. So I love these answers, and I think listeners are going to have some aha moments just from what you said, because they're not thinking of themselves as being stuck. But then when they, like I said, they look back at an opportunity they missed, they're like, oh, my aunt so-and-so did make me feel like that. And that's why I didn't take that job. And that's how I missed out on that huge opportunity. And she got it, that thing.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, if you are ever encountering feelings where you feel not good enough, okay, because this is often at the root of most of this sort of traumatic response, is this not feeling good enough, not measuring up, not being able to, feeling helpless in any way, or even just feeling like, I wonder if there's something more, right? Feeling this like gentle pull, is this all there is? If you're having any of those sort of like subtle nudges, that's a really good indication that you might very well be stuck. If you're feeling those nudges and not listening to them, or you're not sure how to respond to that, or you've got a list of excuses as to why that can't happen for you, you might be stuck. And one of the biggest ones for me, I think, was this very contradictory feeling of not feeling good enough and yet also feeling like I'm too much. So
I know that feeling well.
Yeah, it's very contradictory because honestly, when you're trapped in that feeling, there is no way out. Apparently,
you feel it. Well, the tape says there's no way.
Like over here, too much. Over here, not good enough. Me in here, failure on both counts. Not sure how to break free of that. The truth has nothing to do with any of that. The truth is you are already good enough and you are not too much. It's just a matter of discovering that truth instead of listening to those lies.
Exactly. I try to tell people that we are the sum of our influence, experience, perspective, and passion. And that combination is a fingerprint. It is a snowflake. Nobody has the exact same combination. And when you think of yourself that way, failures and all, you recognize that there's no competition and there's no one that can compare to you, because you are the way you are because of the experiences you've had, the influence that was over you, and the perspectives that were formed and shaped because of it, and then what you love and what you're passionate about and how you're applying the first three things to that passion. So nobody can tell you that your answers are right or wrong because they're your answers from your life. Like nobody can tell you. So there's no comparison. You are a snowflake. And when you recognize that, I think that is one of the best ways to get unstuck, because you realize that there's nobody like me. Like I am so freaking special. Like, I mean, me and my mess, we are the bomb, I bet you can't do mess like me,
No, that comparisonitis, I call it comparisonitis.
Yeah.
a real trap, and it is something that really will keep you from moving towards what is aligned for you. Because as long as you're looking at what everyone else is doing, I remember hearing a TikTok to this effect, as long as you're minding everyone else's business, who's minding yours, right?
Exactly.
And so that is all a distraction. It's all an illusion that anything out there actually is the information you need. The truth that you have is within you. And so taking that time to really go inward is what's going to literally help you to break free and have all of those experiences. And you know what? If you can dream it, it's for you, right?
Yeah.
If you can imagine it, it's for you. And it is out there dreaming and waiting for you come and get it. So
exactly. Those are some great lessons that you've learned and that you helped us to see as well. And I really appreciate you sharing those with us. Thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. And we're going to close out here, and we will be back again next week.